Alright everyone, this is Zero Budget Geek and welcome back to the Pathfinder adventure card game, Skull and Shackles. We are continuing the Plunder and Peril adventure and this scenario is Rum Punch. For many free-loving inhabitants of the Shackles, Caden Kalian is the only deity worth raising thanks and tankards to. Local rum punch festivals celebrate the god of freedom and another year of life and drink. It's a popular time to be in port, but also a dangerous one. During this scenario, when you close a location, you may attempt to acquire any allies left in that location deck. When you acquire an ally, put it in an ally pile next to this scenario card. Before you attempt a check to defeat Nefti Unwesha, you may put any number of allies from the ally pile into your hand. The locations in this scenario will be the docks, the House of Stolen Kisses, the Safe House, and the Ale House. Okay, here we are with our standard setup. Over here we have our adventure card and the scenario card. We have the locations up here, the location decks. This is the blessing deck here to count the number of turns that pass, and we're gonna have both our characters starting off at the docks over here. These are the hands for the characters. Over here we have the gunslinger, and over here we have the war priest. In our last adventure, we had started off with the merchantman as our ship, and during the adventure, we encountered the sea shanty and we defeated it and we were allowed to seize it. And I thought that meant that you get to keep that ship and use it in your next adventure. But a good viewer pointed out that that is not the case. When you seize a ship, it's only for that current scenario. But at certain points during an adventure, you'll be instructed to acquire certain ships. So for now, our sea shanty is gone and we're back to the merchantman. During this rum punch scenario, our merchantman ship will be permanently docked at the docks location. This means that we cannot move the ship and we are only considered to be on the ship when we are at the docks location. We must roll a d6 to see what plunder our ship starts off with. So rolling the d6 and we get a 4, which means an item. Okay, so we're gonna take a random item card and place it under our ship as plunder. Okay, now we're ready to start. We're gonna have our gunslinger go ahead and take the first turn. So we're gonna flip the top card of the blessings deck for the gunslinger's turn. Okay, so she's gonna go ahead and explore her location and we'll reveal the top card. It is a leather armor, Constitution Fortitude of 2 to acquire. It's not a great item, but we'll go for it anyway. Well, Lyrian's Constitution Fortitude is a d6 plus 1, so even if we roll a 1, that'll be 2, and that's all we need to acquire the leather armor. So we will acquire the leather armor to our hand, and we're at 5 cards. We have too many, so I'm going to go ahead and discard this Blessing of the Gods to take another turn. I said take another turn, but I meant to say another explore. So we'll look at the top card, and it is an item, Masterwork Tools, Dexterity Disable of 7 to acquire this, and reveal this card to add 2 dice to your disable check, or recharge this card to defeat a barrier whose highest difficulty to defeat is 14 or lower. This is really useful, so I'm going to try to get this. Alright, well, unfortunately, Lyrian's dexterity is only a d8 and we need a 7. We don't have anything that we can add to the roll. Olaf, the war priest, could display his boarding axe here to give her +1, but that would mean he would not have that axe available to him next turn. So it's only a +1, so it's not that great enough. So we need to roll a 7 or 8 on this. So extremely low chance, but hey, that's the breaks. We roll a 3, so we do not get the Masterwork Tools. Okay, there's nothing else for Lyrian to do, so we'll flip the top card and go to the War Priest turn. So we'll just go ahead and explore with the War Priest in the same location that we're at. I'm not exactly sure what we're trying to accomplish in this adventure. I do know there is a villain that needs to be defeated, but we don't know why. Anyway, let's go ahead and explore the top card of this location, and it is a barrier. Barroom Brawl, a strength, melee, or dexterity check of 5 to defeat this. The difficulty to defeat this barrier is increased by the adventure deck number of the current scenario, which is 0. Each character at this location encounters this barrier. Each character that does not defeat the barrier is dealt 1 plus the adventure deck number, if any, in combat damage. If any character defeats the barrier, it is defeated. So we both must attempt this check. If either one of us loses, we take 1 damage, and if either one of us defeats it, then we defeat the barrier. Alright, well, since the War Priest started the Barroom Brawl, we're gonna have him do the check first. So he has a D12 plus 1 to try to get a 5. Alright, he rolled an 8 plus 1, 9, so he defeats it, but now the gunslinger also has to fight. Now it's important to note that this is technically not a combat check, so we can't use weapons in here. Now the gunslinger's strength is only a D4, so we don't want to do that, but we can make a dexterity check, which is a D8. So we're going to go ahead and roll the D8. We've got no bonuses, and we don't have anything that we can add to it. Actually, we're going to go ahead and display this boarding axe to give her a plus 1. Alright, so we got 6 plus 1, 7. That's enough to avoid damage from the Barroom Brawl. Alright, and the Barroom Brawl is banished. Okay, the War Priest doesn't have anything else to do this turn, so we're gonna end the turn, and this boarding axe that we displayed goes back to his hand. Okay, let's turn things over to the gunslinger's turn. The gunslinger explores and will find a weapon, a harpoon. Oh, we know what that is. Dexterity range of 7 to acquire this. For your combat check, review this card to get your range skill plus a D6. Add another D8 if it has the aquatic trait, and we fail the check, we get to put the monster back on top of the location. So this is really good. I want to acquire another one. Alright, well, dexterity range skill is a D8 plus 3. We don't have anything to add to the roll, so we're just going to roll it straight up. We need a 7, and we get, oh my god, maximum. So we acquire the harpoon to the gunslinger's hand. Alright, we're going to be ending our turn, but we have too many cards here. Our hand size is 4. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and discard this dagger. We don't need it. We have plenty of other weapons. And we turn things over to the War Priest. Okay, the War Priest will explore at the docks and find a item. Ruby of Charisma. Charisma of 7 to acquire this. You can recharge this card to roll your Charisma die instead of the normal die on a non-combat check. Well, Olak's Charisma is only a D6, and we have really nothing that we can add to the roll, so he won't be able to acquire this. So we're going to go ahead and just pass up on this. So the Ruby of Charisma is banished. Well, the War Priest has no other action, so we're going to go ahead and pass things back to the Gunslinger. Okay, she's going to go ahead and explore the docks, and she encounters a henchman. Alright, the henchman of the scenario. It's a ruffian, human pirate veteran. To combat of 7 to defeat. The difficulty to defeat him is increased by the adventure deck number. After you act, if your check to defeat did not have the swashbuckling trait, bury one item or weapon of your choice from your discard pile. If defeated, you may immediately attempt to close the location this henchman came from. Alright, we gotta fight. Okay, so for this combat, I think we're gonna go ahead and use a pistol. I'm not even sure if we've used the pistol yet. So it lets us use our dexterity range skill, which is a D8 plus 3. And it gives us an additional D6. You may additionally bury this card to add another D10. We're gonna go ahead and do that, but because we're a gunslinger, whenever we would bury a card because we're using a firearm, we can do that action with a different card. So instead, we're gonna gain the D10, and we're gonna go ahead and bury this leather armor. So this is gone for this adventure, but we get all this dice for the combat. Okay, so let's go ahead and roll all of our dice. Our minimum is 6, and we need a 7. So as long as we don't roll all ones, we defeat this guy. Alright. Oh my god. 12, what is that? 20. Actually, I merely rolled a 19, but the ruffian is defeated. Okay, the pistol has one more quirk. We're gonna have to roll a d12, and if we roll a 1, we will have to shuffle the pistol back into our deck. So we're gonna roll, and we rolled an 8, so we don't shuffle this back into our deck. Now, if we were not proficient with weapons, it would actually be a d6 to roll, and we would bury it instead if we roll a 1. So we defeated a henchman, and now we have an opportunity to close this location. However, this location requires that we bury an ally to close it. Well, we don't have an ally in our hands, so we can't close this location. So we're forced to basically dig down through this entire deck and just finish it up. Alright, well the gunslinger has no more that she can do, so she's gonna go ahead and reset her hand. She'll draw up to 4 cards. She drew a blessing of the gods, that's nice, and we'll turn things over to the war priest. Okay, Olak explores at the docks and he meets an ally, a deckhand, charisma diplomacy of 6. Oh, that's terrible. Recharge this card to add 1d6 to your non-combat strength or dexterity check, or discard this card to explore your location. Add the swashbuckling trait to your combat checks during this exploration. Alright, well, we gotta make some kind of attempt to try to acquire this. Alright, well, Olak only has a d6 for his charisma to try to acquire that. We're gonna have the gunslinger go ahead and spend a blessing of the gods to get another d6. So, let's see what we get. We need to roll a 6. And we get a total of 9. So we acquire the deckhand to our hand. Actually, no, because we are in the rum punch scenario. It does say when you acquire an ally, put it in an ally pile next to this scenario. Before you attempt a check to defeat Nefti Unwesha, you may put any number of allies from the ally pile into your hand. So we'll go ahead and put that deckhand up here. Alright, the war priest has nothing else to do, so we'll end his turn and pass things on to the gunslinger. Okay, she explores and will find a monster, a saltwater ogre. It is a giant ogre and it is aquatic. That's good. Check to defeat is a 14. That's pretty high. If undefeated, the saltwater ogre deals 1 combat damage to each other character at your location. Ooh, we definitely got to defeat this. Okay, so saltwater ogre, we're gonna go ahead and use our harpoon since it is aquatic. So that gives us a d8 plus a d6, and it is aquatic, so we get another d8. We have +3 to the roll. So let's roll good and defeat the saltwater ogre. We get 8 and 6 is 14, so that alone is there to defeat it. So the saltwater ogre is gone. Alright, so that's over with. The gunslinger doesn't have anything else she can do, so she's gonna go ahead and end her turn. We're gonna draw 1 card. We get a powder horn. That's not really useful right now. That'll let us, we can discard that to search our deck for a firearm. Alright, let's turn things over to the war priest. So it just dawned on me that this location requires burying an ally to close it, and the war priest has absolutely no allies in his deck, so he cannot really help in closing this. But since there's only 2 cards left, I'll have him explore this top one and then she can explore the last one, and hopefully we'll be able to close it then. So we explore the top one here, and it is an item, a spyglass. Wisdom perception of 4 to acquire this. Reveal this card to add 1d6 to your perception check. Discard this card to examine the top 2 cards of your location deck and put them back in any order. This is really good. I want this. Well, Olak has a d8 for wisdom, so we need a 4. He's got a 50-50 chance to get it. We don't have any bonuses, and well, let's see if we get it. I rolled a 7. That looked like it cheated a little bit, didn't it? But we acquired the spyglass to our hand. Alright, well, Olak doesn't have anything left to make him go again, and we have too many things here, so we have to discard something. I don't want to just use the spyglass just to look at 1 card. We're going to encounter that card anyway with the gunslinger, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and just discard this wooden shield. We can always use your cure or something to get it back, so not necessary. So war priest's turn is over. Okay, we'll go to the gunslinger's turn and we'll explore that last card there. Alright, and the final card is a monster. It is aquatic, merfolk. Combat check to defeat is an 8. If undefeated, each character at this location must succeed at a Constitution or Fortitude 7 check or bury the top card of his deck. Alright, well, to fight this merfolk, we're going to go ahead and use our harpoon because that's good against aquatic creatures. So a d8 plus a d6 and plus another 1d8 for it being aquatic. We have +3, so our minimum is 6. We need to get an 8. So here we go. We have 8 just with those 2 dice, so the merfolk is defeated. Alright, the harpoon is going to go ahead and go back to her hand. She's got nothing else to let her go again, so we're going to end the turn. We could attempt to close the location right now, but we need to bury an ally to do that. So we're going to have to leave this place and just come back to it later. So let's turn things over to the war priest. Okay, I think we might try to split up here. So we're going to have Olak go ahead and go over to the alehouse, because to close the alehouse is a summon and defeat the henchman ruffian, and he can do that. So we'll have him start exploring the alehouse. Before we explore though, we're going to go ahead and use this spyglass. Discard this card to examine the top 2 cards of your location deck and put them back in any order. So we'll discard that and we'll look at the top 2 cards. The first one is a bilge spider swarm. It's a combat of 6. All damage dealt by the bilge spider swarm is poison damage. If you are on a ship, which we are not, the difficulty of the check is increased by 4. If you do not defeat the bilge spider swarm by at least 4, shuffle into the deck it came from. The bilge spider swarm still counts as defeated. So it is a 6 to defeat, but we have the option on that. And let's see. And there is a large chest. Oh man, I wish we had those masterwork tools. It's a strength for melee to open it. The difficulty to defeat the barrier is increased by the adventure deck number. If defeated, add 1d4 random weapons from the box to your hand. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and put the spider swarm down first, and then we'll put the large chest on top, and we'll go ahead and try to break that open. So that happened before our explore. So then we'll go to our explore, and we'll reveal the large chest. So let's try to open that. Alright, so my strength melee is a d12 plus 1, and we need to get a 10, so that's not great. So odds are we're going to fail this. Yeah, we rolled a 5, that's only a total of 6, so we lose out on the large chest. Alright, the War Priest has nothing else to do, so ending the turn and drawing a new card, magic weapon spell. Okay, so it's our Gunslinger's turn, and I think I'm going to have her go ahead and go over to where the War Priest is at and fight those spiders. Alright, so she comes over here to the alehouse and she will acquire the spiders because we saw it with the spyglass. So it's a combat of 6 to defeat. Okay, I'm not playing around, so I'm going to go ahead and use the pistol to fight the spider swarm. It's a dexterity range skill, so d8 plus a d6, and we may bury this card to add another d10. And because our hand is full of weapons, we're going to go ahead and just bury this card to add another d10. We have plus 3 to the roll, so we need to get a 6 just to defeat it, but we need a 10 to permanently get it out of the deck. So let's roll. Very good. And oh my god, we rolled just a 10 just on that. 17 plus 3 is 20, so we rolled a 25 total. So the spider swarm is definitely gone, but we must bury our pistol. Now, you know what I could do? Because I'm the gunslinger, instead of burying this pistol, I could bury another card instead. So I could bury this powder horn because I don't have any more no more firearms in my deck, just these 2. So I'm not going to need the powder horn. That's for searching out cards. So we'll bury this powder horn instead, and we'll still have weapons. Alright, well, there's nothing else left for the gunslinger to do, so she's going to end her turn and reset her hand. She's going to draw 1 card. She draws her own deck hand. Alright, let's turn things over to the War Priest. Okay, so Olaf's going to go ahead and search at this location, and he finds an ally, a boatswain. Charisma Diplomacy of 9. Recharge this card to examine the top card of your location deck, or discard this card to explore your location and add the swashbuckling trait to non-combat checks. Well, Olaf's charisma is only a d6. We have nothing that we can use to add to that roll, so we're going to have to pass up on this boatswain. So he leaves. Alright, well, I've got nothing to let us go again, and we've been kind of stuck at these cards for a while. I think I'm going to go ahead and actually discard this magic weapon card. We can always use the cure to get it back. I feel like we need to kind of get through our deck here. Alright, well, we draw a longsword. That's okay. Okay, we turn things over to the gunslinger. Alright, since we're moving slowly through these location decks, I think we're just going to stay together and just keep working together on each one by one. So the gunslinger is going to go ahead and explore this location. She finds a barrier. Lookout duty. Check to defeat is a wisdom perception. Well, it's good. She's good at that. It's a 6. If defeated, you may look at the top card of the barrier's location deck. If it is a monster, you may immediately encounter it. If undefeated, your ship is dealt 1 structural damage. Leave this barrier face up on the location deck. Characters at this location encounter this barrier as their first exploration each turn. Alright, so let's go ahead and do this roll. Alright, so the gunslinger's wisdom perception is a d12 plus 2, so we have a better than average chance of getting this. We need to just get a 6, and we rolled a 6 on the die, so we defeat the lookout duty. Now it says If defeated, you may look at the top card of the Barry's location deck. If it is a monster, you may immediately encounter it. So we look at the top card. It is an item, a top flask. It's intelligence craft to acquire this. If you will banish an item that has the alchemical or liquid trait. Okay, so this is good for liquid items. I remember that. Well, that just stays there on the top of that location deck for now. Alright, you know what? This might be a mistake, but because we're going so slowly and we need to find ways to get extra turns here, I'm going to go ahead and use this deckhand. Discard this card to explore your location. Add the swashbuckling trait to your combat checks during the exploration. Now, I know it's a flask that's there, but we might as well do it. We need to get extra turns somehow, so I'm going to discard them to explore again. Okay, so we explore. We know it's that flask. It's an intelligence craft of 6. I only have a D6 for intelligence, but we'll have the war priest go ahead and display this boarding axe to get a +1 at least. So I need a 5 or 6 to try to acquire this. I roll a 6. So, alright, well, we get the flask to our hand. Alright, well, we get the flask. And we're at 4 cards here, and we're going to be ending our turn. I could discard something, or I can discard this card to search your deck for an item that has the liquid trait, then add it to your hand and shuffle your deck. After playing this card, succeed at a craft 9 check to recharge it instead of discarding it. I don't remember if we have any liquid, but I want to free up a space in my hand, so I'm going to discard it anyway. And if we have a liquid or anything, I might have kept a potion of healing or something. So, oh, we have a potion of glibness there. Do we have anything else? Actually, a potion of glibness is probably going to be really good. So we'll get the potion of glibness, and then we need to go ahead and shuffle our deck rather. Okay, let's turn things over to the war priest. Alright, so we'll go ahead and keep exploring the alehouse. And another ally. Oh, damn, it's another charisma diplomacy, which he's terrible at. Discard this card to add 1d4 to your check when you're on a ship. Discard this card to explore your location. Add the swashbuckling trait to your non-combat checks during this exploration. Well, we have a slight chance to acquire him. Alright, well, his charisma is a d6, and we've got no bonuses. I could use that potion of glibness. Actually, I can only use it for... No, yeah, but I don't think it's worth it. So we'll just roll it straight out. I need to roll an exact 6. I'm not going to get it. So yeah, just rolled a 2. So the sailor is gone. Alright, Olak ends his turn and the displayed card goes back to his hand. Okay, it's the gunslinger's turn. Okay, we'll continue at their house and we will find a monster, a crocodile. Combat of 13 to defeat. It is an aquatic. If the check to defeat has the code trait, add 1d6 to it. If undefeated, shuffle this card into a random open location. But I think we can defeat this with our harpoon. Okay, so we get our trusty harpoon, which gives us a d8 plus a d6 plus another d8 because it's fighting an aquatic creature. And we have +3 to the roll. Just to be extra sure, we're going to go ahead and reveal the boarding axe with the war priest to give another +1. So we have +4 to the roll. And let's see, so we have 4. Plus 6 is 10, that's 17, 21. We defeat the crocodile. Okay, well that'll be it for her turn. She gets the harpoon back. Nothing to go again, so we'll turn things over to the war priest. Okay, the war priest is gonna continue searching the alehouse and he finds a henchman there, the ruffian. Combat of 7 to defeat. After you act, if we don't have the swashbuckling trait, we bury one item or weapon of our choice from our discard pile. So that's not too terrible. All right, let's fight this guy. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and use our longsword since we can't use our boarding axe. That's still displayed. So it gives us our strength melee, which is a d12 plus 1d8. We could discard it for an additional d6, but I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna roll with this. We have a +1 to the roll. I just need to get a 7. That shouldn't be too hard here. So we get 6 plus 1 is 7, exactly what we needed. So the ruffian is defeated. Alright, since we didn't defeat the ruffian with the swashbuckling trait, we have to look in our discard pile. We have to bury a weapon or item. We do have an item here, this spyglass. So that's buried for this adventure. We cannot use it. We can't get it back for the rest of the adventure. Alright, so now we can attempt to close the location. That means we have to fight another ruffian. So we're going to go ahead and use our longsword again because we still can't use the boarding axe. We're going to do a d12 plus 1d8. and I may additionally discard this card to add another 1d6. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and do that just to be sure that we defeat this guy. So we have all these dice +1. I just want to make absolutely sure we close down this location. And oh my god, more than enough. We have 16, 17, so the ruffian is defeated. Alright, so now we get to close this location. It says on closing you may recharge an ally from your discard pile. Well, we don't have an ally at all because it's Olak, so we close that up. And per the scenario rules, whenever we close a location, we can attempt to try to acquire any remaining allies in the location. And there is one, oh man, there was a dragon pistol there, but we can't try for that. So there's a parrot here. It's a wisdom survival of 7 to try to get that. Oh, we might have a chance here. Alright, well his wisdom's a d8 and we've got nothing to add to bonuses, so we need a 7 or 8 to get it. Not a good chance. Oh my god, we roll an 8, so we get the parrot. Alright, because of this scenario, we don't get to put the parrot on our hand. It goes into this ally pile up here. Supposedly that ally pile is important when encountering the villain of this scenario, so we'll see what happens. Alright, before Olak ends his turn, I'm gonna go ahead and have him cast Cure on the gunslinger. So review this card and choose a character at your location. Shuffle 1d4 plus 1 random cards from a discard pile into the deck and then discard this card. So we'll roll that. 1d4 plus 1. We just roll a 1. So she's going to get 2 random cards back into her deck. After playing this card, if you do not have the divine skill, we may succeed a divine 8 check to recharge this card instead of discarding it. So our wisdom divine is a d8 plus 2. We need to get an 8, not a very good chance, but let's see what we get. We rolled a 4 plus 2 is 6, not enough, so the cure gets discarded. Okay, the gunslinger is gonna get 2 random cards from the discard pile shuffled into the deck, and we hope it's something useful, so let's shuffle this up. Alright, Olak is done with his turn. We'll reset his hand. This comes back. We'll draw 2 cards. We get a Blessing of the Gods and an eye patch. Alright, Gunslinger's turn. Okay, I think now we're going to split up. The House of Stolen Kisses is the dexterity check to try to close. So Lyrian has a better chance at that. So we'll have her go there and explore. And she finds a spell, Black Spot. Intelligence, Arcane, Wisdom, and Define of 4 to get it. Discard this card to decrease the difficulty to defeat a monster by 1 plus the adventure deck number of the current scenario, if any. After playing this card, okay, that's the thing. So I think we're gonna try to acquire this. So it's a wisdom. We can do wisdom, so that's not bad. Alright, well, her wisdom is a d12, so we have a good, an okay chance to get it. We need to roll a 4 or better. We roll a 10, so we get this black spot to our hand. Alright, well, we're going to end the gunslinger's turn. We have too many cards in hand, and I think I want to try to give the black spot to the war priest. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to go ahead and discard this pistol because the war priest can heal me on a coming turn, and and then we'll be okay. So we'll do that and end the turn, and we'll turn things over to the war priest. So Olak is going to go ahead and go over to where the gunslinger is at, and instead of exploring though, he's going to use his special ability. He's going to go ahead and review an armor. He can review an armor or blessing and have it count as a cure spell. So he's going to do it. He's actually going to do it on himself. I thought about doing it on the gunslinger, but he has better stuff in his discard pile. So roll it, d4 plus 1. He's going to get 4 items back from his 4 cards, and there are 4 cards in his deck, so these are going to get shuffled into his deck. Alright, now that everything's shuffled into the deck, this chainmail does go to the discard pile. And so I don't waste the turn, I'm going to go ahead and discard this Blessing of the Gods to explore the location. Alright, Olak searches and finds, he meets an ally, a surgeon, charisma, diplomacy of 6, he's terrible at that. Review this card and choose a character at your location. Shuffle a random card from her discard pile into her deck, then recharge this card or discard this card to explore your location. This is a nice card. I really would like to get it, but that's gonna be almost impossible to get. Well, right, well, we gotta get a 6, and all we have is a d6, but Olak does have this eye patch that I kept from before. Recharge this card to add 1d4 and the swashbuckling trait to your check to acquire an ally or to defeat a bane or a ship, or 1d4 if it has the pirate trait. Well, she's not a pirate, but we do get a d4, so we have an average of 2, 3, 4, 5, an average of 6. with this, and that's what we need to get. So we need a 6 to acquire the surgeon. Can we do it? We rolled a 4, 5, 6, 7. We acquire the surgeon. Alright, unfortunately the surgeon gets added to this ally pile up here instead of our hand. Alright, well, this eye patch gets recharged and we're going to reset our hands. We're going to draw 3 cards. We get a boarding pike, a buckler, and a longsword. On to the gunslinger's turn, and we're going to go ahead and have her continue exploring the House of Stolen Kisses. Before we explore though, we're going to go ahead and hand off this spell here, since it's a divine spell. It's actually both arcane and divine, but we're going to give this over to the war priest. We're at the same location, and that clears up our hand. Now let's explore. Okay, we search and we find a skeleton. Combat of 8. Undead. The skeleton is immune to mental and poison. If the check to defeat has the piercing slashing trait, the difficulty of the check to defeat is increased by 3. Well, that's all we have is piercing, so it's an 11 to defeat. Let's see what we got. Okay, so I think we're going to go ahead and actually use our harpoon. So that'll give us a D8 plus 3 plus a D6. We're going to have the war priest is going to display his boarding axe to give a +1, so we have a +4 to the roll. We need to get an 11. We should be okay getting that. 6 plus 4 is 10 plus 1 11, so just barely, but we defeat the skeleton. Alright, so fight's over. Harpoon goes back to her hand. She's gonna end her turn. She does have to draw a card, a master gunner. So that's pretty good, and we'll pass things over to the war priest now. Well, since when this turn ends we're gonna have too many cards in hand, I think I'm gonna have the war priest go ahead and use this buckler as a heal spell on the gunslinger. So a D4 plus 1. Oh, we rolled a 4, so 5 cards she'll get back, and then we have to discard this. She gets to shuffle 5 cards, but she only has 4, so all of these will get shuffled back into her deck. Alright, the war priest doesn't have anything else left to do, so he's gonna go ahead and just reset his hand, and on to the gunslinger's turn. Don't forget to flip the card of the blessings deck, and it's getting kind of thin there. Okay, so she explores at the House of Stolen Kisses, and it's a barrier, man overboard. Dexterity of 7. Well, she's okay at dexterity. If undefeated, display this card next to a random character. At the start of each character's turn, the character next to this card must succeed at a Constitution or Fortitude 7 check to banish this card. Otherwise, that character must bury the top card of his/her deck. Alright, we definitely need to defeat this. Alright, so for this man overboard, her dexterity is a D8. We're gonna go ahead and display this boarding axe, and I think the boarding pike as well to give a +2 to the roll. So when the 8 plus 2, we need a 7. We need some luck here. We rolled an 8, so we defeat the man overboard barrier. Oh man, now I'd like to save this master gunner, but we really need to make up some time here, so I'm going to use the second ability. Discard this card to explore your location. Add the swashbuckling trait to your combat checks during this exploration. So we'll explore them to go again. Okay, so we explore and we encounter a dodo ally animal. Check to acquire wisdom survival of 5. Finally, something without charisma. Banish this card to succeed at your check to acquire an ally that has the animal trait. Here, banish. Discard this card to examine the top card of your location deck. If it is not a monster, put it on the bottom of that deck. You may then explore your location. Oh, that's pretty good. So let's roll a wisdom check to try to get it. Okay, our wisdom with the gunslinger is a D12. We need a 5 or better. We don't have anything to add to it, so we got to roll it straight up. And we roll a 12, so we get the dodo. But because of the scenario rules, it goes to that ally pile. Okay, so she's done with her turn. We'll reset her hand. She'll draw a card. A deckhand. Oh, I wish I had that. Would have gone again. I will flip over the top card of the blessing deck and turn things over to the war priest. Alright, well, since this location is a dexterity check to try to close it, we're going to split up. I'm going to have him go over here to the safe house and just go ahead and start exploring there. Alright, he's going to look and see. He finds a captain. check to acquire Constitution Fortitude of 4. That's good, but then a Charisma Diplomacy of 6. So probably not gonna get this. But review this card and recharge another card to add 1d6 to your non-combat Constitution Intelligence check. Discard this card to explore a location. Add the swashbuckling trait to non-combat checks. Well, let's see if we can get this. Alright, well, to do the Constitution check, Olaf's Constitution is a D8 and he has +3 to the check, so the minimum is 4, which is what we need, so we pass that automatically. Now, we do have to do the Charisma. It's a D6 and we need to get a 6, so we have a 1 in 6 chance of getting it. Not gonna happen, especially when we roll a 2, so the captain runs away screaming. Alright, Olaf's done with his turn. These 2 displayed cards will go back to his hand. I think actually we're going to discard, because we're at the safe house. There's no combat here. There's just barriers. We're going to go ahead and discard one. Actually, I might discard both of these. I'm going to discard both the boarding axe and the boarding pack. We need to draw more cards here. And so we'll draw a wooden shield. That's not great. A blessing of the gods. That's good. And we'll flip over the top card here to go to the gunslinger's turn. Okay, she's gonna go ahead and explore, and oh great, the henchman, ruffian, combat of 7 to defeat, and if we don't use swashbuckling on him, then we have to lose a card. So let's do it. Alright, well, we don't have time to play around with this guy, so I think we're gonna go ahead and use our pistol. It does have the swashbuckling trait. Now it gives us our range, which is a D8 +3 plus a D6, and we can bury this card to add another D10. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna bury it because we have another pistol in our deck, so we're gonna bury that pistol. Now I could use my gunslinger ability and bury something else, but I like the other cards we have, so we get that, and we have +3 to the roll here, so we're looking good as long as we don't roll all ones. And we just need to get a 7, and there we have a 7 there, so we defeat the ruffian. Okay, so we need to roll a dexterity check to close this location now. We have a D8 for dexterity because we're the gunslinger, and we have a deckhand here. So recharge this card to add 1d6 to your non-combat strength or dexterity check. So we can do that. We'll recharge him. That gives us a D6. So we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 average on here. So we should be in good position here. We roll a 6 and a 1, so exactly 7. But we do close the House of Stolen Kisses. Now it does say on closing, add a random card from your discard pile to your hand. Well, there's only one card in our discard pile, which is the Master Gunner, so that will go to our hand. Now the scenario rules does say that if whenever we close a location, we can try to acquire any allies that are left in the location, so we have to look through here. There's an ally, a snow leopard there, that's a barrier, that's a spell, and another ally here. So one is charisma diplomacy and one is wisdom survival. So let's do the wisdom survival. It's 6, we have a D12. We actually have a shot at that one. We roll a 7, so we acquire the snow leopard. That will go to the ally pile, that doesn't go to our hand. Now the shanty singer charisma of 6, we have only a D6, so probably not gonna get that one. Yeah, we only rolled a 4, so that one runs away. Okay, it's Orlok's turn. We'll flip over top card of the blessings deck. It is running way thin, but we only have one location left. Alright, so Orlok is going to explore at the safe house, but before he explores, there's a special ability here. At the start of your turn, you may recharge a card to examine the top card of the location deck. Then you may shuffle it. I'll try that so we can see what's coming. Maybe, you know, it'll be something we can try to avoid and not waste time. So I'm going to go ahead and recharge. I think this wooden shield, yeah, that'll be fine. We'll keep those. Alright, so we'll look at the top card of the location deck. And, oh, it's the villain, Nefti Unwesha. Combat, no, it's not a combat. It is a charisma diplomacy of 13. Oh my god. And then before you act, choose a card from your hand and shuffle it into a random open location deck. So she steals something. Well, she's a human smuggler. You may reveal any number of allies. For each ally revealed, add 1 to your check to defeat. Okay, that's why we have that ally pile over there. But fortunately, we're not meeting her now, but we have some stuff to deal with that charisma. So we know she's there now, so I'm not gonna explore that location, not with Olak anyway, with his terrible charisma. So Olak's just gonna go ahead and end his turn there. He took a peek out of the safe house and saw the boss. So we're gonna draw a card for Icy Boarding Pike, but unfortunately it's not a combat, so we don't need that. Alright, let's shift things over to the gunslinger's turn. Let's see if we can figure out how we're gonna defeat this boss. We still have an open location over here with the docks. So we gotta try to prevent her from moving. I think we're only gonna have one shot at trying to defeat her. Okay, so I think what we're going to do is we're actually going to have the gunslinger come over here to the docks, and then there's no explorer, nothing to do there, but she can attempt to close it at the, well, you know, basically towards the end of her turn, and it's bury an ally to close it. So we do have this master gunner still in our hand that we've been holding, so we'll bury him unfortunately, but we do get to close the docks. Now we have the boss cornered at least. So she's gonna go ahead and end her turn there. Okay, so she's gonna go ahead and reset her hand. She's got a flask and a leather armor. None of that's really useful, I think. Alright, we'll flip the top card of the Blessings deck for the War Priest turn. Alright, well, Olak is not going to explore the location. He's not set up to fight the boss, but we can use this Blessing the Gods towards the boss. This black spot, discard this card to decrease the difficulty to defeat a monster by 1. And she is considered a monster. So we could use that for a bonus of 1. We can review the Icy Boarding Pike and the Longsword. Those will add actually 1 to the check. So that's 1, 2, 3 plus another d6. You know what? In my discard pile I only have 1 Blessing of the Gods, and I have multiple Blessing of the Gods in my deck. But I don't dare get rid of one of these. These are each count as a bonus, so I'm not gonna discard anything. I thought about discarding, hoping to draw a Blessing of the Gods, but I may not draw a Blessing of the Gods, so we'll just keep these. But these will help the roll, and I think I'll have the Gunslinger meet the boss. All right, we'll flip the top card of the Blessings deck for the Gunslinger's turn. We're just almost out of turns there. So I'm stressing out over the boss because it's a charisma diplomacy check, and I'm an idiot, and I totally forgot that I had this potion, and this is why I was holding the potion of glibness in case we came across a really important charisma check. Banish this card and choose a character at your location to succeed at a diplomacy check. So this automatically will kill the boss, and if that wasn't even good enough, that crazy top flash that we got before, when you would banish an item that has the alchemical or liquid trait, which that does, review this card to bury that item instead of banishing it. And then so yeah, we got this in hand. Alright, Gunslinger's going after the boss. Okay, so she goes to the location deck where the boss is. She's gonna go ahead and encounter the boss, and like I said, charisma diplomacy of 13 to defeat. So, it does say before you act, choose a card from your hand and shuffle it into a random open location. Oh, we're gonna lose something. You may reveal any number of allies. For each ally reveal, add 1 to. All right. So she is gonna steal a card from us. Well, we'll go ahead and get rid of this leather armor we acquired at the beginning of the game. So this will get shuffled into that deck. I'm not gonna bother shuffling it now because we're just gonna go ahead and banish this potion of glibness to choose a character at location to succeed at a diplomacy check. We succeed a diplomacy check, we defeat her. We'll use the top flask in order to bury this rather than banish it, because now I might keep that in my deck. And Nefty is defeated.
Dude, get out of here.
Okay, our reward for defeating this scenario is we gain all the allies in the ally pile. So we had a snow leopard, a dodo, a surgeon, a parrot, and a deckhand. Alright, we also did have a plunder card on our ship, so let's see what it was. It was a top flask, so alright, fine, we got that. Okay, so we've now reset our hands back to their starting 15 cards. Olaf's deck hasn't changed at all that stuff is still the same there, but the gunslinger has changed a bit. She now has 2 harpoons and 2 pistols, which is really nice. And because the top flask and the potion of glibness work so well, and apparently charisma is one of our weaknesses, I decided to keep that combo. Maybe we'll use that again. And we changed out our allies. We now have a surgeon and a snow leopard and a lookout. All 3 of these cards are recharge in order to use them, and I like that, so that's why I kept them in the deck. Alright, so that's it for this episode of the Pathfinder adventure card game, Skull and Shackles. Be sure to check in the upper right hand corner to see the link to other episodes in this series and other board game videos that I've done. So guys, until next time, take it easy.